one shot at a time.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a U.S. Open edition live from Boston. We are super pumped to get into this week's coverage of the U.S. Open and bring you guys inside the ropes and kind of behind the scenes on what's going on out there at Brookline. First up on our docket is Colton Heisey. Colton is on the bag for Brandon Matthews this week. Colton, all kinds of stuff to talk about U.S. Open-wise, obviously, but just the ride you guys have been on with Brandon Matthews, securing his tour card this past weekend. All kinds of good vibes going into Brookline. So, Colton, appreciate you joining us this evening, man. How's Boston?
It's good. Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's good to be back in Beantown. Was here for like the Northeast Am way back. So only second time to Boston, but yeah, excited to be back at a major and get after it this week.
Yeah, before we hopped on, you were talking about being out at Wingfoot last year and obviously getting some prep in there. So not your first time around a U.S. Open. How does this one maybe differ from the setup you saw last year?
Yeah, so Wingfoot was actually in 2020. Was that Torrey? No, yeah, it was that Torrey last year though. So I got to see the last two. Wingfoot was kind of weird. It didn't really. It was very hard. Obviously, like the golf course setup was still very challenging, but obviously during COVID with no fans, it was a little different atmosphere. So it didn't really maybe necessarily feel like a major. The golf course did, but in terms of the tournament, it didn't. Last year Torrey was different. They had some fans back, obviously a little bit limited in California, but I mean the golf courses are stout. I mean definitely a different style golf course here. A little wider off the tee in terms of the fairways, but a lot more slopey and kind of like forces you to hit shots to similar spots as everybody else, which for the longer hitters will mean just hitting less club and being a little more accurate and hitting a few more fairways there. Where Wingfoot was like everyone was going to miss fairways, hit it as far as you can, and figure it out. Here it's a little bit more getting penalized for missing those fairways. So a little bit more of a premium, I think, this week in terms of that, especially with how small the greens are. So definitely a different style than Wingfoot was, but Torrey was probably a little more similar to this in terms of setup and how it'll play.
Well, I think too, just from kind of perusing through a lot of the content on folks showing the course already this week, you see a lot of almost premiums on not only just hitting the fairway, but hitting certain sides of fairways and can be penalized if you hit almost center right or center left and really pinpointing that accuracy off the tee. The guy you're carrying the bag for this week, Brandon Matthews, is known for that distance, but has also been notoriously known to take the driver completely out of the bag when need be, and pinpoint that accuracy. So excited to see the club selection you guys have week to week, or I mean, hole to hole. But what is it looking like as you've already played the front nine out there this week? As far as will you let the big dog eat as much as a lot of previous U.S. Opens?
I mean, realistically, on this golf course, I mean, we're probably gonna only hit like three or four drivers. It just really depends on kind of pin locations and wind. I mean, if we get it where we can let it eat and know that we're gonna have either a good angle or at least viable option into the green from wherever we're at, we're gonna let it eat as much as possible. But like for example, like on the first hole, you have bunkers down the left, and like I mean, for us, where you would have to hit it, you're probably hitting it in the right rough unless you hit a 10 out of 10, and then the green kind of slopes right to left, so you're kind of left pitching away from you. So it's just not really. I mean, if we get something into the wind and we can kind of hold that fairway a little bit, then yeah, we'll let it eat. But it's just going to be kind of picking targets from day to day, and it's definitely going to change club selection. I think we're supposed to get a southwest wind on Thursday, and then kind of flip northwest for Friday, Saturday, which is a little bit more how it was today during the practice round. So we'll kind of see how the golf course transforms, and by Thursday, they got a little bit of rain last night, so it should start to firm up and that rough get pretty healthy. So as it starts to do that, we'll kind of change our prep as we're going. So it'll just be kind of a play by ear thing for us in terms of hitting driver.
For sure. I mean, I know you mentioned getting that really early draw on Thursday morning. And you also mentioned, kind of to my surprise, how maybe that's not always the greatest adversary on having that early draw sometimes with thick, rough conditions, maybe that the afternoon guys won't have. But it seems like that wind you mentioned is going to wreak havoc a little later in the day, which hopefully you guys can get through. So let's talk the guy you're carrying the bag for this weekend, Brandon Matthews. Tons and tons of success on his bag already early this year, and even kind of, at the end of last year as well. Take us through the ride that has been carrying the bag for Brandon Matthews, and the success you guys have had to lock in a tour card after this past weekend.
Yeah, so started for him in Panama this year. It was third event of the season. And so we've known each other for 10 years. He went to Temple, and I went to Westchester, and we had some mutual friends. So we've known each other and had a little bit of rapport for a while, and got out on tour about the same time, me, Caddy, and him playing. And so yeah, we've been around each other a while, which was nice. It was refreshing going to work for somebody that I had known for quite a while. We were fortunate enough to start off with a little honeymoon phase. We finished tied for second. Actually won the second week, so it was kind of a dream start in terms of that. I mean, 4 weeks into the year, and we started a run together, so it was a pretty dream start in terms of that. But it's been a good stretch of golf. We kind of had a little lull for like a 5 week stretch in the past like 2 months. So we're starting to trend up. We've made our last three cuts, and his game's really, really coming into form. So excited to see what we can do this week, and get after it. I mean, we finished T15 last week at the BMW down in Greenville, and was kind of a tournament that we felt like T15 was maybe the worst we could have finished, to be honest. We actually played really, really well all week. Just a couple of things to clean up once or twice around, and we'll be making some hay.
I love that. It definitely seems like there's all systems go after the last couple of weeks, like you said, just on the trending upwards. What are some things that you guys are looking to, even after just playing the front nine today, of saying, what, we've done this well in the past from a chemistry standpoint, or just from a utilizing Brandon's strength standpoint? What are some things you guys are obviously looking to utilize and maybe take advantage of out at the U.S. Open? I think he did.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
realistically, like the way we're looking at this golf course, and I mean, if we're not hitting a ton of drivers, it's just making sure that we're as many opportunities as possible, and making sure that we can just put a premium on hitting those fairways and giving ourselves looks on the right side of the.
We'll kind of just dive back in, Colton, to the trip you guys have had, and making your way up the rankings as far as Korn Ferry Tour goes. Obviously, that early win got you kick started into a pretty successful season with the Korn Ferry Tour. But obviously, having that card secured is obviously the step one of many to finish out the season. You guys are looking to round out the top 25 and make your way towards that top one position with the Korn Ferry Tour. What are some goals you have in mind to kind of keep that momentum going as you guys have continued to trend? Is it really just focus on US Open, US Open, US Open, and worry about the rest as the chips fall?
Yeah, I mean, so for us, I mean, our focus is just basically week to week, trying to stay in the present, and I mean, take each day at a time. Obviously, as soon as that last putt fell in Greenville last week, I mean, our focus immediately shifts to Boston and to the U.S. Open this week, and doing what we can do to take advantage of an opportunity. We were planning on taking this week off on the Korn Ferry Tour anyway, so this is kind of something we've had marked on our schedule. He played the USAM here at Brookline and was a quarterfinalist in 2013. So definitely some good vibes here for him, and something we would just, I mean, it's another opportunity. It's experience before we potentially play in this as a PGA Tour member next year. And obviously in golf, one good week can change everything. So and obviously Brandon's game's suited for big golf courses and US Open style golf. So obviously we're just going to come out and treat it like another golf tournament, and our expectations don't really shift from where they are every week. I mean, if he didn't think he could win a golf tournament, he wouldn't be playing in it. He'd pick a different job. So I mean, it's just one of those things. We're just gonna take it as it is and treat it like it's another week and treat our prep the same way and just go ahead and do all the things that we normally would do. And if we happen to go out and play how we feel like we can play, then I think we're in line for a pretty successful week.
For sure. I know you talked about playing 9 holes today. You guys had a pretty late arrival as we're talking to you here on Monday night. So 18 scheduled for tomorrow, out on
Mhm.
Tuesday, and then maybe another 9 on Wednesday before the lights, camera action get going on Thursday morning. Aside from obviously just playing the golf course, what are some of the main things you guys both look for to really get your prep and study? Like, what are the main things that you as a caddy are going out there and really studying to make the difference come tee in the ground on Thursday morning?
Yeah, I mean, so on this golf course, it's a little different than most. There's a lot of blind tee shots. Well, not blind tee shots, but just blind shots out here in general. So just making sure that we have our lines dialed in, making sure we have exactly what our middle of the fairway is or middle of our target. Whether that we are trying to pump something down there and okay with hitting it in the rough or where those middle lines are, and just making sure we maximize the room we have, especially with him hitting a long way. Sometimes our lines aren't everybody else's, and sometimes we're actually just trying to pump one down there in the left rough and make sure that we have an angle and make sure that we can give ourselves the best opportunity. So just looking for that, and then obviously the golf course is going to get firmer, so just making sure that wherever they decide to stick those locations that we know where our best chances are going to be, that if we do get out of position, where those best chances are going to be to get it back in position and make par and just minimize the damage out here, because I mean bogey avoidance is just huge at the US Opens, and just making sure that you just don't make anything worse than bogey and just continue to stay patient and try and give yourself as many opportunities as you possibly can.
How's how's that rough looking? Are the videos doing justice?
Yeah, so I mean, there's like some high grass like off the fairways and stuff that comes into play on certain holes. The actual rough right now is like I mean, it's pretty benign. I would call it like a strong rough for like a tour event right now. But obviously, I mean, they got rain, a little bit of rain last night, so it's 75 and sunny out here, and the grass is a little damp, so they can grow this as much as they want. I mean, if they leave the mowers off of it, it's gonna be as healthy as you could ask for this week. And I got to imagine that's our plan. And with the USGA, I mean, they've got all kinds of fertilizers and stuff. If they want to grow it up overnight, they can.
Yeah, you know how they like to make their courses for this upcoming week.
For sure. I mean, I really don't know that they can get the greens much faster than they have them right now, just because of how much slope and how many little runoffs there are that are super severe here. So I mean, they're rolling, but they're not anywhere close to like an Oakmont or anything
Yeah,
that you would see there, like Shinny a couple years ago.
yeah, and
But yeah,
you said it's like pretty or a lot of blind shots. Is it an undulated course?
in terms of like the ups and downs, I mean, there's quite a few. Like I know, like the par five, it's probably down like 18 to 20, and then back up into the green, it's probably back up 12 or so. But if you come up short there on it's par five on eight, I mean, your ball's coming back like 80 yards. You're gonna have
Oh,
almost a
geez.
full shot back in. But like that green, they can't put any pin locations in like the front 10 of that green. Everything, it's massive false front, so they really only have like 13 yards of depth to work with in terms of pins there. So you're going to see a lot of similar pin locations, and a lot of holes play fairly similar in terms of shot making, just depending on that wind direction. So if you get same wind direction, you're going to see a lot of similar shots.
Awesome, Colton. Well, excited to hop back into it. Love to see you out there week to week, carrying a bag for Brandon, and excited for you guys to have a shot at the Cup this week, and excited to see you guys contend hopefully on the weekend. So best of luck with the prep the rest of the week, and we are, like I said, excited just to see you guys compete this week.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me back on. Good to see you guys again, and hopefully we can touch base next Monday and have something to talk about.
Amen. Love to hear it, man.
Absolutely. Good luck out there, man.
Appreciate it. Have a good one, guys.
That's the stuff. One shot at a time.